The best moments to enhance your spiritual growth are actually in the month of Ramadan. Over the past few months, Muslims across the globe experience what we call the Ramadan. It is actually a month where we have to fast for a course of 30 days. And whilst fasting, we have to indulge ourselves in acts of worship that would enhance our spiritual growth. The best part of your investment is an investment in your personal growth. And the most fulfilling part of it is when you have your spiritual growth being invested in. So imagine if you had invested in your spiritual growth the past few months, why would you let it go, or how would you shade it off? It is best and sane for you to keep that spiritual growth over the course of the year to the next Ramadan. So in this video, we will be talking about some of the post-Ramadan objectives that you have to set for yourself in order to keep yourself going with that spiritual growth that you had in Ramadan. Let's dive in. Okay, the first prompt here today is, what are a few objectives you like to set for yourself after Ramadan? Obviously, we found ourselves in Ramadan taking up certain attitudes, behaviors, and habits. These things should find a way in us even after Ramadan. So, some of the objectives that I'd like to set for myself is the fact that I was able to find out how to take insight from the Quranic verses, which serves my purpose in this world, beyond the worship of Allah. And aside that, I think some of the lessons that I got in Ramadan and that would help me with setting my objective is how I should ensure that I'm always in connection with the Creator. I have been created. I didn't create myself, right? I have goals and aspirations in life. Obviously, I have business goals. However, I have come to an understanding that if I get it right with my spiritual growth, it becomes much more easier for me to attain those business aspirations, other aspirations aside, business, other things that I've actually aspired to be. So it is one of the reasons why I find it much more fulfilling sharing these things with you on this channel. And another thing too, I would like to keep going with is optional fasting, because aside the scientific benefits of fasting, I find it much more intriguing that when you fast, this is the time that you become so much attuned with yourself. You become so much aware of yourself. Aside the scientific benefit of having the bad cells in your body being eaten off, I think in that month, in that time of fasting, you get to be attuned with yourself and get your spiritual growth to the maximum. So these are some of the objectives I've actually set for myself. And I know, obviously, these will serve as insights for you to also set objectives for yourself so that you can actually keep going with your spiritual growth. So the second prompt is, how will these objectives align with your own values and long-term goals? Having said all the objectives I have set for myself, I think these objectives would help me with me being conscious of the Creator. I can be more conscious of the Creator if I'm not conscious of myself and the world around me. So if I get to understand or be aware of the world around me and myself, it becomes much more easier to be aware and conscious of the Creator. We most of the times neglect ourselves. We find ourselves in negligence of ourselves. That is why we easily get ourselves swayed off connection with our Creator. Aside that, these will also help me try to achieve other aspects of my life, which includes health, which includes relationships, which includes my financial goals, and a whole lot of that would be easy for you to achieve, or easy for me to achieve, if I get that self-awareness. And the ultimate goal is to obviously seek the pleasure of my Creator. And by so doing, I would be more fulfilled, having attained the purpose of my life in this world. Let's get the discussion ongoing. Find out what objectives you're also going to set for yourself after that month of Ramadan, and see how these objectives would align with your own values and your long-term goal. Let's move on to the third prompt in this journal. So with the third prompt, it states, what are the steps to take to accomplish these objectives? It's quite challenging, isn't it? However, for me, the steps that I will take to accomplish these objectives are to be committed to self-development, as I'm doing now on this channel. And I think the second one would be to offer my services to others in guiding them towards their self-fulfillment goals. And the third one would be to seek knowledge, to keep seeking knowledge. And the fourth one, I think, would be to commit to sharing my thoughts and ideas to the community that is open to my thoughts and ideas. Yes, by so doing, I know I have people who are also committed to their own personal growth. So if I share it with them, I get to grow whilst I share. That is why this channel is actually here to stay, hopefully, because I find much fulfillment in sharing some of these thoughts and ideas so that I get to understand how others' thoughts and ideas also make them feel. And the fourth prompt could also be challenging. However, let's give it a try. How can you integrate the lessons learned in Ramadan to accomplish these objectives? Well, what I have learned in Ramadan, the last Ramadan, was the fact that we could actually manifest our life goals. However, we have to do our best, not with brute force. Let's do our best, but at the same time, let's surrender our soul to our Creator. When you surrender spiritually to the Creator, it becomes much more easier manifesting all that you want to achieve in the life. So I think I have come to the understanding that if I should integrate all those lessons, I should have a goal, an end goal that I'm moving towards. So if I know I have a goal set for myself, I know all that actions that would be put across to get me there will be easy for me. Let's say if I'm to fast, I know, okay, I'm not just fasting just for the pleasure of Allah, but I'm also fasting in order that I can spiritually get aligned with my Creator's purpose for me. And therefore, I know that can help me manifest some of what I aspire to get in the world. Another thing would be, let's say, when I to approach Salah, that's prayers, I know this is a moment I need to attune with my own soul in connection with my Creator. So as I do that, I get a sense of my own self and what I really want in life. At the same time, I'm also I'm seeking the pleasure of my Creator. So these are the many things I have learned with regards to how I can get the lessons learned integrated into achieving or accomplishing my objectives. If I do it that way, I know I would have that mindset of manifesting whatever goal I set for myself. But the best way for me is to take the 80-20 rule. That is, 80 would be to make sure I'm spiritually grounded. So it would help me to take 20% of the struggle, right? Believing that I rely upon my Creator. However, I'm taking a step towards where I want to get to. And that is what I think. So you could also share your thoughts and ideas about that. And let's see how we get to learn from each other's thoughts. So the takeaway lesson for me is, within me is a soul that was given to me as a trust. So if I want to achieve anything, I need to embody that within my soul. That would help me to be attuned with the Creator. The Creator has a blueprint for me. However, we sometimes think that we can just use our logic and brute force actions to achieve whatever we want to achieve in this life, right? So it is best we get ourselves much more attuned with our Creator spiritually. When we do that, it becomes much more of being divinely inspired in certain ways, right? So you just don't take actions based on your logic, but then you are able to get insights, intuitions that would guide you towards where you want to get to or towards what you aspire for. Remember this, a verse that we usually recite every day, that is, guide me to the straight path. Why do you think we always say this verse? It's just because we do our best. However, the best guidance comes from our Creator, who is so much aware of us and our soul and everything that surrounds us. So it's always good to always surrender that soul to Him to get His guidance in whatever we do. So I think this brings us to the end of this episode. In our next episode, we will be talking about how to maintain these spiritual practices. So do not forget all that we share or all that we've been sharing from the previous episode, so that we get ourselves always reminding ourselves of how to keep our spiritual growth on to the top of the road.